Welcome back to NFG Podcast, Jay the Usual. This is Jay the Usual with NFG Podcast here in an impromptu monologue. Some crazy shit's going down right now, and it may be the beginning of some really extra shit. So I figured we should get this out of the way now while we still can. So, and I gotta make this fast too because we don't have a lot of memory on the phone now. All right, so we have let's see. There's been about 4,000, between 3 and 4,000 people individually exploded in Lebanon and the Hezbollah military. So, and apparently there's been some civilians too that were tied up in that, and there were a few people that were not tied into the Hezbollah group that were also hit with some parts of the explosions. A child was killed, but so there are rumors. There were two separate attacks. First attack were roughly between 2,000 and 3,000 separate individual person-to-person explosions, and these were found to be pagers that were all activated simultaneously with some form of explosive implanted within the devices. Supposedly, the part we're going to talk a little bit more about in a minute is I know that there are ways to manufacture parts of an object to make them appear to be something, but they actually are made of a material that could be explosive or could be made into, like, for instance, phone batteries. They heat up, and people have seen they explode in people's pockets and stuff, and it does hurt people, but it's not to the point of these explosions, because these explosions, and there's plenty that have been on security video, are massive for such a small device. And what I think is happening is there's been a reactant added to these devices, which of course they're not phones or pages. This is something else entirely, but to increase the explosivity of that particular device has to do with the way it was manufactured. Something about it is made to blow up, and in a way that is not traceable as well, because these things were given out months ago supposedly, and they had to have had some sort of like way to check these things, and apparently whatever the hell it is, it got right through. So the next attack was today. It's actually happening right now as we speak, which is fucking weird to even be doing this, but hundreds of people already right now have been exploded again, but this time it's people that are using walkie-talkies that are working, I believe, with the Hezbollah militant groups. But this is outside of where they are primarily. I'm just getting all this information, so you're gonna have to excuse me if I'm a little bit like, and I also just woke up, so it's wild. But what's concerning me is it's a widespread occurrence that's happening right now, and it makes me wonder if it's not something that's just implanted in the devices, but the batteries themselves, and that there's actually some sort of signal being sent out, and this is being talked about pretty widely right now. There's been a lot of tests recently about sending signals to different electronic devices, even analog ones, and even using them to microwave heat specific items such as metals. So that sort of technology does exist, and the question becomes, well, what can be exploded with a signal like that? And also, what has been manufactured and where has it gone that can be affected by these signals? And also, if this wasn't 100% an effective attack and there are several of these left over, or there are enough remnants left over, someone will learn how to do this, and they'll do this to somebody else as well. So a whole new type of evil unleashed unto the world. And yes, I see a lot of people saying like, oh, well, it's Hezbollah, a lot of terrorists and all this other shit. And it's like, yeah, but you gotta understand that this sort of thing is kind of like what you do if there's really no other choices left. Because once you show that you can do this sort of shit, then you start making them question everything, and they start looking around and seeing like, oh shit, well, what are they putting this? What are they putting that? And of course, like, yeah, it slows them down, but it doesn't shut them down, and it also makes them way more fucking wary, and starts creating more fucking tension. And I promise you, this is not over. So, and this also ties in directly with what's going on over here, because there's a reason they keep trying to kill. I hate to say it, there's a reason they keep trying to kill Trump, but at the same time, he's not a danger to these sort of acts and people. He's not going to stop or say or do anything about anything that has to do with any sort of shit like that. And he may have a finger on a fucking nuke button. Whether or not they even work, I don't know. Whether or not you can even... There are energy technologies out right now that you could shut down an entire thousands miles wide swath of all kinds of different technology with an EMP. And there are even more specified technologies that can get through shielding, with things like lasers, quantum lasers. I shit you not, and this is real shit, not me just like saying stuff. That can pass through solid material. We're talking about invisibility to even radar, and the eyes. There's things out there right now that, and like I'm saying, if we're seeing the start of it, where it's like, well, holy shit, we didn't even know that was like really possible to do that all at once like that across several countries. And they tricked a lot of these sons of bitches, and some of these motherfuckers are crafty. They're not all like fucking like cavemen type motherfuckers that are just sitting there chiseling rocks and go, oh, I found a grenade. It's fucking people making fucking IEDs on massive levels and fucking setting up missile attacks and all this other shit. It's like, I don't know about your fucking buddy and you, motherfucker, but you know, who the hell's setting up all this shit on their spare time? So they're tricking some fucking pretty evil people with an even more dastardly fucking attack. So you know there's something even more dastardly than that is not only coming because of retaliation, but if this is the first of what they're showing in some of their crazy shit, you already know that there's even more stuff that they have planned, packed, and fucking ready to just go. Like they did for the past 2 fucking days now. So this shit, it seems like it, just on the face of it, that it's an attack on a group of people that are evil or something like that. Or maybe it's just like, oh, there's an escalating tension. It is far fucking more than that. And it's probably the first real tiptoe we've seen into the fucking war since the beginning of it. And the attacks on Zaporizhia. Because, I mean, I'm talking about something that it's literally like, once it happens, boom, the entire fucking world changes. And the assassinations are another thing. I was like, well, Trump has some things to do with some of this stuff, but doesn't. And it's like Kamala's just as much of a tool as he is, and all this other shit. So you know, it's like let me ask the general public a question for some of them that are still into voting. Which one of them have a good answer? Not just like, well, I'm gonna have it stop tomorrow. No, a real, actual, detailed answer. Any one of them, anybody, even their vices, anybody that works with them, anybody. Does anybody have an actual answer, right, to stop all the crazy shit? No. And to prevent any of the crazy stuff that's about to happen? No. It's all about continuing the fucking momentum. And it's like, if it's not about that, then they start telling you a bunch of stories about how they're gonna, you know, bring economies back and to a place where they were, but they weren't, because I remember back then it was already really fucking tough, and if it wasn't, why the hell did we need stimulus money right away when they locked us all in our fucking houses? Because if an economy's that fucking good, if you have that much stuff, why would you need to start fucking handing thousands of dollars to people and then all of a sudden say we can't do that anymore? And then you're like, oh, okay, we'll try this. Let's try this other guy, right? And then he starts saying, well, why don't you drink this poison that this other guy created? Doesn't apologize for any of the fucking shit that happens from it either. Or the stuff that they said, like, oh, we're going to take your jobs and all this other fucking crazy ass shit. Or all the banning and all the fucking shutting down of free speech. All this illegal shit, the fucking murder. Nothing. Instead, it's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth between a bunch of fucking evil idiots. And then shit like this happens. And we all got to sit here wondering, like, well, is the thing that I'm recording this video on about to explode? You know? Can't be thinking like that. But you have to now. So this is life. I wonder how close we are with these test signals that they sent out recently. Remember, there's, we're going to send out these signals, make sure everybody can get an emergency broadcast. Why? What am I going to fucking do if a nuke blows up, right? All this other wild ass shit, you unleashing these diseases. You can't even stop a sneeze, Jesus, right? I'm going to put my head under a desk, I'm going to stay in my fucking house. You're not trying to protect me with that, one. And two, even if it is somebody else just doing something evil or something like that, who's to say that they just can't learn how to blow up your shit? And how many lithium fires have we seen that just don't get put out with the standard firefighting material? How much firefighting material do you think we actually have city to city? And does anybody realize we're actually in World War III right now? Because that's the sort of thing that's about to fucking go down wherever the hell it needs to for the powerful to keep control. So, get the fuck ready. Because you're about to get a worldwide fucking, and anywhere where people start getting too fucking loud, powerful, and crazy, like the poor people, they're gonna get fucked. And some crazy shit like this is gonna go down. So, yeah, we're here to hash it out. And I really hope none of my devices go wild on me. Hopefully I don't wake up in the middle of the night, my drone's trying to fly into my ass or something. That could very well happen. A lot of crazy shit going down right now, man. What happens the day that Israel decides that they don't like the way that we're telling them we don't want to give them weapons anymore? Or what if they do something really, really terrible out there, and then we don't back them? And then they're like, "Oh, you're terrorists now?" And then I wonder what they've done to our stuff. That we have a lot of stuff that's manufactured and controlled by Israel, don't we? In the U.S., it's pretty strange, huh? It's pretty weird, kind of scary, just a little bit. And I'm not about fear mongering. I'm scared. Everybody that is mentally fucking aware, prepared, and ready to protect themselves and others should be a little bit scared right now, because anything that affects several people countrywide in such a violent fucking way, including innocent people. I didn't say all, I said including. There was a handful of people that was just civilians and a child, and people like, well, they're not all terrorists, are they? I seen people blowing up inside of grocery stores, grabbing apples and shit, and people right next to them going, well, what the fuck is this? Welcome to my part-time job. I work a part-time job at a grocery store. Could you imagine? I'm just sitting there, trying to work my ass off like everybody else, like a poor son of a bitch, and all of a sudden somebody explodes on the side of me because two evil groups in the world want to decide to do evil things to each other, and I gotta catch this shit in the crossfire and pull out a fucking mop and hope that it doesn't catch my fucking hand in the process. Remember, you pay the price for the horror just as much as anybody else. Is it worth it?